This video is a complete demonstration of the installation of the CA Total Defense R12 package. This is a package that provides multiple layers of protection to safeguard your network against malicious programs, viruses, spyware, and other threats. To install, run the setup and select the language. We get multiple options before installing the product. You can see options to install, to read the documentation, go to support, or to browse through the disk. Select the option for Install Total Defense Suite R12. We can install Total Defense in standalone mode or distributed mode. In distributed mode, if we have existing management servers, then we need to select No. Since this is our very first installation of management server, we're going to select Yes. Just below these Yes and No options, we have to select an option between Endpoint Protection and Gateway Security. Endpoint protection safeguards the network against malicious programs, viruses, spyware, and any other threat. It also includes proactive protection like firewall, application control, operating system security, intrusion protection, vulnerability assessment, and mail servers, real-time scans against malware threats. Gateway security provides gateway protection using SMTP or HTTP filtering. In this case, we're going to select Endpoint Protection and click on Next. On to our checklist. Certain applications and services must be installed and running on the computer hosting the CA Total Defense Server components. Components like Management Server, Event Server, and Content Update Redistribution Server. The user should have proper administrative credentials to perform the installation. The computer on which you will install the CA Total Defense requires version 3.0 or higher of the Microsoft Windows installer. If you need to download the Windows installer, go to Windows Download Center and search for Windows Installer 3.0. The next checkpoint is to enable Windows Management Instrumentation. The management server uses WMI, which is Windows Management Instrumentation, to deploy the CA Total Defense client to remote endpoints. The Endpoint Discovery feature also uses WMI to discover unmanaged endpoints. By default, WMI is enabled on Microsoft Windows 2000 and later operating systems. However, the Windows Firewall may prevent WMI from accessing remote endpoints. To ensure endpoints are accessible in the first place, you must enable WMI through the Windows Firewall. Next checkpoint, install or enable Microsoft IIS with CGI feature. This application is bundled with Microsoft Server 2003, Server 2008, and Microsoft Windows 7. The CA Total Defense Installation Wizard configures specific settings for this application. The next checkpoint, Microsoft .NET Framework. If this package is not already installed on your server, you can download it using your Microsoft Windows Update feature or from the Microsoft Download Center. Either ways works. The CA Total Defense for Unified Network Control (UNC) requires Microsoft Network Access Protection, also called MSNAP, for the enforcement of network policies. Before installing the UNC Communication Server, user must install and configure Network Policy Server (NPS) on the host computer, which must be running Microsoft Windows Server 2008. In addition, user must have MSNAP agent installed on every computer running Windows Vista or Windows XP Service Pack 3, where UNC Client Agent is installed. If either NPS or MSNAP agent is missing or is not configured properly, UNC will not enforce network policies. Last of all, install MSMQ from Server Manager, added feature. The groupware option can only be installed on an endpoint that is already running Microsoft Exchange, Lotus Domino, NetApp, or Microsoft SharePoint to provide real-time scanning and scheduled scans of mailboxes, public folders, SharePoint server, and document libraries. This is the license agreement page. You need to accept the terms of the license agreement and then click on Next. Fill in the business details for registering the product. Input the same information again, which is required for the renewal of your license. In case the network uses proxy to access internet, we need to fill in the proxy server information here. During the start of your installation of server components, the CA Total Defense Installation Wizard prompts you to enter user registration information, and the license key. Make sure to have internet access during this part of your installation. As soon as you enter the registration information and your license key, the wizard sends it to the CA Entitlement Management System, EMS. The EMS verifies the products user is entitled to install and returns a license activation email which contains instructions on activating the license. This page tells us the difference between the two types of installation. In a standalone installation, all CA Total Defense Server components, including Management Server, Event Server, Report Server, and Content Update Redistribution Server, are installed on the same host machine that meets the minimum hardware and operating system requirements. A standalone installation works best for sites with fewer than 1,000 endpoints that are in the same physical location. Since this server is considered mission critical for keeping the environment healthy, CA recommends that no other application runs on this server. It should be dedicated to CA Total Defense alone. On the other hand, in a distributed installation, the CA Total Defense Management Server, Event Server, and Report Server may be installed on separate machines, which improves product performance and the flow of network traffic. This kind of installation is recommended for sites with more than 1,000 endpoints or sites that have endpoints located across more than one physical location. CA Total Defense for Unified Network Control protects the network by controlling how endpoint devices like servers, desktops, laptops, etc. can access it. UNC, or Unified Network Control, enforces the corporate security policies by assessing the policy compliance of an endpoint device, by accepting, rejecting, or restricting the network access to a device based on its level of compliance, by quarantining and remediating a restricted device. A device in network quarantine can access only those remediation servers that will bring the device back into its compliance. And also, it enforces the last policy by provisioning a compliant device to access the corporate network. CA Total Defense uses certificates to protect sensitive data and internal product communications. This password is required if the product is installed in distributed mode to install additional product components. Specify a certificate password and record it in a safe location. For installing the endpoints on clients, remote deployment is integrated with the product. Remote deployment requires a username and password. It should be a local admin or domain admin. Same is the case with endpoint discovery. These are inbuilt Windows users from local database or domain database. HTTP ports used by CA Total Defense for opening the interface and accessing certificates on web browser are over here. Report Server. The Report Server gathers data from the Event Server, Management Server, and CA Total Defense for Unified Network Control Management Server to build a large and comprehensive set of reports that provide various levels of information about CA Total Defense. For example, you can generate high-level overviews that show trends and describe the overall health of your network. You can also get information about the smallest detail of an event, which can be most useful when investigating a specific problem. You can generate reports that have a textual description of each CA Total Defense policy in use at your site, managed and unmanaged endpoint reports, and reports for CA Total Defense for Unified Network Control reports. UNC Management Server has different interface. This again is Windows inbuilt credentials from local database or domain database. Users can receive email notifications when reports are ready for viewing or when specific events occur. Mention the FQDN name of mail server and email address where to receive the reports. If you are already using Microsoft SQL Server and plan to use it with CA Total Defense, then SQL should be configured before installing CA Total Defense. And here are a few checkpoints. Create a new user that has the DB Creator role. Verify that you are using Windows and SQL authentication, mixed mode authentication. Verify that the TCP/IP protocol is enabled for port number 1433. Verify that the firewall, if any at all, allows incoming access to port 1433 on this machine. We will use Integrated SQL Server Express install in this case. Mention the password for SQL database. Destination for the installation. This page will display the components selected for installation. Click on Finish. MS SQL is installed as the first component. After which all the other components are installed.